Web Divas! So here is what we are doing today. We are learning our image tag and how to make a link. And both of these relate to each other because we're going to learn how files are organized on the server and how we get them from our computer to the server and what a server is. So first of all, what we want to do is get two screens up. So have your left screen up, and on the left screen go to webdivasclub.org/ftp. And on the right side of your screen have another browser window open that goes to your website. So that should be your username .webdivasclub.org. So go ahead and pause this video and get your screens up, one on the left and one on the right, and I'll wait. Cheers! All right, now you should have your screens up, one on the left and one on the right. And if you don't, go ahead and pause this video, get your screens up, and come back to the video. And if you are ready, we will go to the next step. So go ahead and log in to your website, to your development site. So the FTP server should be webdivasclub.org. Your username is your username at webdivasclub.org, which is not going to be your name. It's going to be something like soccergirl28, whatever it is, and then your password. So click log in, and you're logged in. All right. Now the reason we have two screens up, we always want two screens up because the left side is going to be the side that we always develop on, and the right side is the side that we'll get to see what it actually looks like on the internet to see our changes. So that way we can easily see what we're doing as we're making changes. Okay, everybody should at this point have an index.html file. And if you do not have an index.html file, we want to make one. So I'm going to go through how to make a file. First, click on New File. And whether or not you have an index.html file or not, you can use this process to make any new file that you want. So go ahead and type your file name at the top, next to New File Name. If you do not already have an index.html file, then make an index.html file. And so just call it index.html. And we're calling it .html because that is a file that contains HTML code, and that's the code that we are coding in. So that extension .html tells our browser, our Chrome browser, to read our code as HTML code that it is. If you already have an index.html file, which most of you do, then name it something else. Name it, for instance, jokes.html. Then enter in some code. I'm just going to enter in a quick H1 title. So these are some jokes. I've got my opening tag, H1. That's called an HTML tag, and it's an H1 tag. Oh, I'm sorry. I need to close that with an H1. And I've got my closing tag, which should look very similar to the opening tag. I open an H1 and I close an H1, and everything in the middle is what the title is. So these are some jokes. Now hit the Save button to save your changes. And then click back to go to the list of your files. So these are all your files on your website. You'll see that I have index.html and jokes.html. So when I go to katie.webdivasclub.org, which is my regular site, what I'm getting is index.html. And so let me click on index.html and show you that. I'm sorry. Next to index.html, I'm going to scroll over and click Edit. So you can see in my index.html file, I have an H1 title, a header title. This is Katie's Thoughts, and you can see Katie's Thoughts right here. So when I go to when I edit my index.html file, I'm editing the file that is the default file that everybody sees. If I go in my browser to katie.webdivasclub.org/index.html, I'm going to the same file. Okay. So let's see how it works to go to another file, if I want to go to another file. So let's go to the jokes file. First of all, in my development browser, I'm going to scroll over and click Edit next to jokes.html. And I see that I should see the title, These Are Some Jokes. So how do I get to my new page, jokes.html? Well, I just add jokes.html to katie.webdivasclub.org/jokes.html. And then I see my title, These Are Some Jokes. Okay. So the first thing we want to learn is how to add an image to a page. And what we need to know two things. We need to understand how files get to our server and how to link to them. So first of all, I need to add a file to my server. And I need to have a file ready to add. So I'm going to go to Finder. Right here. I'm going to go to Downloads, and this is where I have my file ready. It's called panyuandred.jpg. I don't want any spaces in that file name, so I'm going to click on that file, hit Control and click to right click, and get info. Okay, I see that it's called panyuandred.jpg. I want to change that name, so I'm just going to click on that name, and I'm going to take out the file. I'm going to take out the spaces by calling it panyuandred without spaces, and then hit Enter. Now I've got a file that's ready to go. It doesn't have any spaces in the file name, and it's just called panyuandred.jpg. These are my cats. Yay! So back in my development browser, I'm going to click Upload. I'm going to pick my file next to Choose File. I know my file is under Downloads, panyuandred. Click Open. And I'm going to hit the check to upload my file. Alright. And so I see the message here, file panyuandred is okay. So it looks like that worked. So now in my file list I see an image, panyuandred.jpg, and I can see next to the type it's a JPEG file, which is an image. So we know that that worked. So the next thing I need to do is remember what that file name is called. So my file name is called panyuandred.jpg. So now I'm going to go back to my jokes file, hit Edit next to my jokes.html, and then I'm going to add an image. So the tag looks like this. This is the HTML tag. img for image, and then an attribute, this is new, an attribute, it goes inside the tag, src equals. And this is where I'm going to add the, in quotes, I'm going to add the address of my file. And so the address of my file is katie.webdivasclub.org, and I have the HTTP in front of it, and then I do a slash, and then just like when I added jokes.html to the end of my address, I'm going to add the address of my image. So panyuandred.jpg. And then I'm going to close the tag with a slash and then an ending closing. Hit save. And then refresh on the other side to test it. Hooray! I've got my picture of my cats. And these are my cats, Panyu and Red. Alright, let's do that one more time just a little bit differently and a little bit more slowly to kind of see how the process works again. So let's go back on this side. This time, let's find an image. So I used an image that was already on my computer. Let's start from having to find an image on the web. So I'm going to say I want to find an image of a cat on Google. So I'm going to go to Google. I'm going to search for cat. Click over to images. Now, I don't want just any picture of a cat because I want to be careful that I'm using a picture of a cat that I'm allowed to use. And because of copyright laws, you have to make sure that whoever took the picture or drew the picture or whatever is willing to share that with you, and you don't need to have permission. It has a license that anybody can use. And so one thing you can do is under Search Tools, you click on Search Tools and then click under Usage Rights. Try labeled for reuse. So anybody can use it. So all of these cats are pictures that anybody can use and it's okay. So I'm going to click on a picture of a cat that I like. Click on View Image. I'm going to hit Control and then click. So that right clicks and then select Save Image As. And I see that it's in my downloads. Save as Palace Cat. So I hit save. Palace Cat. It's right there. So I go back to my page, my jokes page. On this side, now I need to upload the file. So what I'm doing when I upload the image is I'm actually putting the image, so the image is a file on my computer right now. I need to put the image to make it a file on my server, and my server is the computer where my website is. So my server is not the same computer as the computer I'm working on. My server is actually a computer that has all the files for webdivas3.org. So there's a computer somewhere in the internet that has all of our files for all the members of Web Divas Club. It holds all their files, it holds all their index files, it holds all their cat pictures, it holds everybody's pictures. My pictures, your pictures, everybody who is on webdivas3.org. And so the next thing we need to do is we need to get the image that we just downloaded, that cat picture that we just downloaded, we need to get that on the server. And the way we get that on the server is through this upload button. So there's one thing we need to do before we put it on the server, and that is, just like we did with the last one, make sure that the file name does not have spaces in it, because our server does not like file names that have spaces in it. And so in the Finder, I went to Finder, I go to Downloads, where I save my image on my computer, and just check the file name to make sure that it does not have any spaces. And if it does have spaces, you can double click on that file name and just change that file name so that it does not have spaces. So for instance, I can take out this underline. Underlines are fine. You just want to make sure there are no spaces. Okay, so the name of it is palacecat.jpg. So I'm going to upload my file, click on Upload, click on Choose File, click on palacecat.jpg, open, hit the check mark to upload it, we are waiting to upload the picture. It's a very big picture. Alright, it is uploaded. And so click the arrow to go back. So now I can see that it worked because in my list of files I see palacecat.jpg. So the next thing to do is remember what that file name is. You might want to write it down on a piece of paper to help you remember, because I'm going to need the same capitalization. So that's capital P palacecat.jpg, just to be safe. So I'm going to go to jokes.html. I'm going to go back to my file, jokes.html. And where I made an image before, I'm going to change ponyoinred.jpg to palacecat.jpg. And so the address, the source, it's just the address for my website, / and then the name of my file, .jpg. Save that. Refresh the page. And then I've got my file. It's really, really big. We can do things to size those images later, but the goal of today is just to get images on our site. Okay, go ahead and pause this video. And again, throughout any videos, please do pause whenever you'd like to try something. Go ahead and pause this video now and add an image to your page. Raise your hand and ask for help if you have trouble. Go back and watch the video again if you have trouble to see what you need to do. You can also go to our activity set 2 page, scroll down, and just make sure, just look at this image tag, look at the code right here, and copy the code right here to learn how to add an image to your page. And the difficult thing here, the thing that we want to focus on here that is going to help the most with this is understanding how these file names work. And so the file name should be your website, so that's going to be something like soccergirl28.webdivasclub.org / and then the name of your file. So it could be cat.jpg, it could be whatever the name of your file is. And that is your source. Go ahead and pause the video, add an image to your page, and when you have finished adding an image to your page, come back to this video and we will be adding links. Okay, so we're back. We are making links from one page to another. So a website is made of lots of different pages. Each page is an actual HTML file in our list of files. And so just like we learned with an image is a file in our file system on our website, and every page we have is a file on our website. So now I want to add links to link one page to another. So I'm going to link my jokes page to another page. So I'm going to edit my jokes page, and I've made these two links. href equals, and then a quote, and then the location of the file, which is the name of my site, the URL of my site, and then /, and then the file name, and then a quote in with a closing bracket, and then a click here, or whatever you want to write in between, and then a closing A. So to grab that code, you can either copy this code, or you can go back to our activity set 2 page, and you can look at this code here. And so what you're going to want to do is copy this, and then change the URL, this URL. So change this to your username, whether it's soccergirl28, whatever it is, and then change this part right here to the URL of your site, so the file name of your site. So for instance, this file name is jokes.html. Your file name might be whatever. Your file does have to end in .html because that is what tells our browser, Chrome, to read the code the way we expect it to be read. And then try changing this text right here as well and see what that does. So right here it says click here. See what it does if you change that to something else. Okay, so I've got katie.webdivasclub.org.joke1.html is what click here for joke 1 links to. And so now that I've got that link, I need to actually make the page. So I'm going to save this and then go back. And then I'm going to create the file. New file. I'm going to call it joke1.html because that's the link that this file expects. And you can tell that this is the link the file expects because at the bottom of the browser, in the bottom left, it says katie.webdivasclub.org/joke1.html. So you can tell where it wants to go. And so I'm just going to make a file that says this is, or I'm going to make a header that says this is joke1 in that title. And then I'm going to make a link back that link backs to the joke page. So ahref equals and I'm going to link back to the original jokes page, jokes.html. Quote, closing bracket, click here for all jokes. And then I'm going to close that tag with a closing A. Save that. And now go back. I'm actually going to copy this. Sorry, I'm going to copy this. Click on this. Edit joke 1. I'm going to copy this because I've got a joke 2 page as well. So highlight it all. Command C to copy. You can also right click and select copy. Go back. Make a new file. I'm going to change the 1s to 2s. This is joke 2. Click here for all jokes. I'm going to call the new file name joke2.html. Save that. Wait for it to load. Go back. So now in my list of files, so these are all the files on my website, I have 2 images, these .jpegs, and then I've got several HTML files, index, joke1, joke2, jokes, and test. And so now it's time to test it all on my viewing side. So I'm going to refresh the page, as always. Click here for joke1. Let's see if it works. And then it works. So that takes me to joke1.html. I'm going to click back, click here for all jokes. That takes me back to jokes.html. And then check joke 2, and then it works. Alright, so see if you can make some links on your site that link different pages together. Make new pages, make links on all the pages, and create a whole website with linked pages. And we'll be walking around to answer questions. Do ask your partner questions first. Remember to work together to figure things out, and then if in your pair you still have questions, please raise your hand and ask us, and we will be coming around to help. All right.